Why don't you give me a sign? Like the sea that leaves a trail along that shore. It's not your problem, it's mine. Everybody thinks that I'm okay. Sometimes I think I am too. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm waiting for the shockwaves to begin. Oh, won't you let me hold you for one time? Just a rainy day in a London cafe, a London cafe. So give me one last serenade. Say to me, or swear with me till the night turns into day. And it was a shame when daylight faded, because we didn't notice at all.
Victim's name is Leo Kopernik, sir. Seems he was killed in the costume store. And then he was deposited here. Staged, so to speak.
Hello, I'm Sophia Jessica, and welcome to the Fan Carpet.
One of the joys about making a film with an ensemble of this size was we had these brilliant characters to cast up, and people kept saying yes to us, you know, so we ended up with this incredible cast from top to bottom, both amazing Hollywood screen actors, but also some brilliant and some of my favourite British comic actors, and to see those two groups come together and create such an exciting ensemble is, yeah, brilliant.
Yes, so the premise of the film is a murder that takes place set against the backdrop of the world's most famous murder mystery. So what you have is a sort of a whodunit within a whodunit.
So I play Adana Romney. She's an actress. She's married to Reece Shearsmith's character. She's a bit of a psychic. She's got some theories going on about what's going on, and she's an actress. She was a real person who lived. I'm one of the non-fictional characters in this movie, and yeah, she's really fun.
My character in See How They Run is the producer John Wolfe, who was a real-life person, but we've sort of fictionalised his role in events. But he is a film producer of great renown, and he wants to make a film of this very famous celebrated play that's been in the West End for quite a few months, and he can't do it. He gets scuppered every step of the way by certain events that will unfold in the film. So he finds himself in the theatre world, which is a world he doesn't really know about, and it's not his bag really, but it's a fascinating world to explore in film. It's not really done a lot, so I think that was one of the appealing things about my character, that he was in a film producer entering into the theatre world.
I play Sheila Sim. She's based on the real Sheila Sim, who was married to Richard Attenborough, and she's an actress, and she is acting in a play, and then a murder happens and she becomes one of the suspects.
Well, I play a gentleman by the name of Mr. Max Mallowan, who is the husband of the Queen of Crime. He's an eminent archaeologist in his own right, and, well, let's just say he makes more than an appearance during the course of this wonderful, mysterious adventure.
My character's name's Gio. He is an Italian Neapolitan, to be more specific, taxidermist. Artist, he sees himself as an artist. He cohabits with Mervyn Cocker-Norris, played by David Oyelowo, close friends, and he's very much in love. At least on my side, it is. And he is decidedly odd, so it's not surprising that he becomes a suspect.
I play a sort of bumbling theatre usher, a lot like myself, basically. And he's sort of, he's a bit eager-eyed. He's never centre stage, so you see him sort of lurking in the wings. But yeah, no, it's a lovely part to play, actually, yeah.
So I play a character called Anne Saville, who is the assistant and mistress of John Wolfe, played by Reece Shearsmith. And she's a determined young woman who wants to get her man.
Yes, so it's a good question. What is the enduring appeal of the whodunit? I think the answer to that question is that it's very satisfying. You know, there's nothing more dramatic than a dead body, and it's always nice to find out who did it. Within there, you have a lot of room to play around, and we played around, and I think the twist on this one is that it is very funny.
The whodunit, I think everyone has got a favourite whodunit. I mean, we're huge, and we have some great pedigree of great whodunits that come out of this country. But you know, everyone likes a good murder mystery. I think it's a puzzle in its own right, and whether you, it's a bit like a jigsaw on the side of the table. You can't help but start to just stop and think, oh, I think that piece might go there, and you're drawn into this. Even if you're half looking, you sort of want to know the outcome. And a good murder mystery intrigues you, and you've got the opportunity to work it out for yourself. But it's there as it's like a cryptic crossword. It's got that sort of brain appeal. So I think, and whether you're sort of into that or not, I think you can't help but be drawn in like a spider's web. And this film, See How They Run, is that, but it's sort of more than that, because it's very self-aware, and it knows the audiences are sophisticated now, and they know the tropes of these films, and that sort of is why it's slightly one step ahead of the audience, because it sort of expects you to think, oh, I know what they're doing here, they're doing that, then it goes the other way. And that was one of the joys of the scripts, I think, that it's so meta. And even about the film editing itself, it talks about that as well in the film, and that's a fun world to be in, I think, without being too sort of so outside of itself that you can't enjoy it. Because one of the great things about it is you still care about the characters, and you do wonder who did it, which is the best we could hope.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think people just really love a murder mystery. They love the genre. I think they love the escapism of that. And I think the comedic aspect just stops it being too earnest, maybe. It's quite fun, tongue-in-cheek, but you can still enjoy the kind of red herrings and the joy of it.
We always like to be clever. We always want to be one step ahead of everybody. We always want to scratch our heads to find out who did it, as it were. And it's always fun. We always, even with those that are where it's very obvious, we still want to know how we got there. And that will always be fun. We still love a puzzle, don't we?
It's such a part of our makeup as a country, isn't it? It's sort of like, it's just sort of what we're known for. That mystery, that murder, excitement, it's just brilliant. And this, I mean, the fact it's a comedy is so nice, because you've got that drama and suspense, but you sort of, those moments are broken with real sort of funny moments, and that's really lovely, I think.
I love it. I love a whodunit. I think there's something in there for everybody, and I think this cast makes this one unique and fun and interesting, and everybody should come and watch it.
I think the whodunit is a genre that we are all really familiar with, whether you count yourself as a fan of whodunits or not. We've grown up with them. You know how they work, and have a sense of the fun that's kind of implicit in the genre. The question then is, how do you do something new with it and put a fresh spin on it? And that's what excited me most about See How They Run.
Who doesn't love Agatha Christie? Staple diet of the Brits, Sherlock Holmes, etc. before, and I no doubt numerous other authors who I can't immediately think of. You know, Richard Osman now being the current sort of king. That's sort of slightly inoffensive, but lovely to guess who is the murderer and who might be the next victim. The denouement at the end, you know, the sort of familiar tropes. We play into all that, but have hopefully a whole meta comedic side that you know, will give people a surprise, but also sort of slightly contemporise as well as giving homage to the genre.
Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan are dazzling in this. They're very obviously very different, and she's so beautifully innocent and keen, and he is so sort of world weary in a classic, in a way that seems already immediately tropish and done to death, but they sort of managed to breathe life into that dynamic, and it's just a lovely dance that they do together. They work really well together. They drive the whole thing, because basically it's them going around interviewing a set of suspects played by myself and the rest of this brilliant ensemble. But they are so funny together and naturally obviously they're brilliant actors, and to see them together sparring with each other and slowly finding a friendship that's really not there at the beginning is joyous. And it was a dream come true to have scenes with them both. Amazing.
They've done such intelligent acting. You just feel for them both so much. They're so light, they're so relaxed, they're so counter to one another, and yet they're just like the perfect team. I think they're brilliant.
Sam and Saoirse, what to say? Down to earth, funny, warm. There's proper team players, actually. Real team players. And I think that comes across not only in the work that they do, but sort of infected in a positive way, all of us. So it's a pleasure, and long may it continue. And please may we do it again and again and again.
Well, they're both amazing actors, and their parts are written as complete opposites, right? This very taciturn, over the hill, disillusioned man, and this like up and coming bright young thing who wants to make her mark, and they play those beautifully, and those opposites clash in a beautiful, really funny way, and then seeing them sort of get closer together and work it out is really heartening. So and they're both lovely people. I mean, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, but they seemed they're very professional from what I saw, and their chemistry is undeniable on screen, I think.
So Sam Rockwell plays a sort of embittered, world-weary inspector against Saoirse Ronan's sort of eager, enthusiastic, but a little naive and inexperienced police constable. And they bring a sort of a chemistry to it that is comic. We have his gravitas and her sort of apparent uselessness. But over time we see that, well, perhaps one is perhaps the smarter detective than the other.
I mean, we've seen Sam do comedy and stuff like that before, but to see Saoirse do something like this is quite different from what she's done before. But her comedic timing is so amazing. And seeing them together on the screen was just like, they've got that chemistry instantly, and it was brilliant to watch, yeah.
They just have the most amazing chemistry. I remember sitting at the read-through and being like, oh my goodness, I wish I could like bottle this and just keep it forever. And seeing them on screen together, it's their work in the read-through that we saw on screen is just, it's amazing.
Having Sam and Saoirse together was one of the most exciting things about the whole project. Just watching them work together every day was a total joy. I think Sam brings real depth and nuance to his characters, and for the character of Stoppard here, he's essentially the straight man quite often to Saoirse's character, and so he brings real like fun and specificity to what otherwise could be quite a straight ahead character. And Saoirse, I think, audiences are going to see Saoirse in a totally new light. I think her first time doing an out-and-out comedy, and she's brilliantly funny. The two of them together, Sam and Saoirse, are just brilliant to watch. The chemistry between them. So, yeah, I'm excited for audiences to see it.
Saoirse was the first to sign out, and she wanted to do something completely different. Never seen a complete comic turn like this, and she is astonishing in it and nailed it every take. Sam wanted to do it because of Saoirse, as well as the script, obviously, and play an Englishman or the detective. The combination is wonderful comic chemistry.
I would love to know what the secret was to that. I think that's more of the down to the director and the cast. That's the beauty of great actors, is they bring a certain presence to it. So their comedy timing is a little unexpected, but they never sort of step out of their characters to make a joke. So that tension is able to sort of be able to continue throughout.
I did a ton of research actually into Adana, and I was fascinated by what I discovered, because it turned out she was this extraordinary woman, and she wasn't just an actress, she was actually a producer, which was very unusual for that time. She was a writer, she was a broadcaster, she had her own radio show where she talked to women about really taboo subjects, which even now would be a little bit taboo, and she was she hosted these elaborate parties in Hollywood with all the stars. Like, she's a really, really extraordinary lady. And I mean, the character just on her own would be enough of a draw, but with this extraordinary cast and Tom George directing, it was an absolute no-brainer.
Oh yes, I mean, everyone is great in their parts and suited very well to them. I particularly enjoy Tim Key in his part. He plays a really funny character, and Tim is just naturally very funny and so appealing to watch. So I was thrilled to see he was part of the cast when I first saw it, and now I've seen the film. He really stands out to me. He's brilliant, just naturally gifted actor and comic.
Just really good, strong characters, I think. Characters that are fully rounded and that you sort of believe exist, and you sort of, you can recognise friends or people you know in those characters. That's really important, I think. But and this has got plenty of those, so it's fantastic.
Well, it's really hard. I mean, it's the hardest thing in the world to do comedy horror or comedy and thriller elements, because the danger is that you do one but you don't do the other, or neither are served completely by, you don't invest fully in one thing or the other, and you get a sort of curate's egg of he doesn't really know what it is. So you've got to sort of do it and mean it, and so if you're doing horror, the scary bits have to be scary, and the comedic bits have to be funny, and you undercut yourself with completely investing in whichever genre you're doing, and that's the tricky part. But I think you've just got to really go for it and not slightly pull back thinking, oh, it's a bit too scary now, or whatever it might be. So it is a really hard balancing act. When you get it right, you sort of don't notice it, because comedy is in drama. People laugh in real life in the worst situations. So you just got to stay true to it, I think.
I thought it was really funny. It just made me laugh out loud, really, when I was reading it. And I think that's just very rare to have a script that pops so much where you think it's genuinely funny.
The script was very funny, very witty, an homage to the whodunit genre, an homage to theatre. And then, of course, there was our amazing cast. Who could say no to that?
I was just gripped. I mean, I read it and was gripped. I mean, it's very funny and farcical, but it really does grip you. It keeps you guessing. It is a very, very satisfying whodunit, and it works really well on both levels. It is super silly at times and very, very witty and funny, but it is a legit satisfying whodunit. So I read it in that way. I mean, I was gripped. And then I saw this, my character is quite an unusual invention, and I thought that was cool. There are some strange people in it, and that's cool.
Well, I just thought it was so funny, and then you add the cast to the material, and it was like, oh my God, I absolutely have to be a part of this if I can, and here, it happened, I suppose.
Well, balancing the comedy and the drama elements was one of the biggest challenges in the film, because it was really important to us that it work as an exciting thriller, but also as a comedy. So we spent a lot of time both in the scripting and then later on in the edit, making sure those two things were in balance. And hopefully it should deliver for audiences who are looking for something exciting, but also something comic as well.
It's just really fun, good entertainment, and people need to come back to the cinemas. It's a family movie. Come and enjoy it and see it again.
Well, I think it's sort of that 1950s, the foggy pea souper London. We've not seen much of that in a while, but done in a way that is not necessarily dark. That's a real loving tribute to the period, to the genre, the whodunit mystery genre, and to the style, I think, of the period as well. Yeah.
So it's early 50s. It's incredibly stylish. We're also in theatre world, so it's very specific. And there's nice clashes between the police, the kind of humdrum police work, versus the very opulent and mad theatrical world that they kind of find themselves involved in. So it's over the top, and it's successful as a play. It's a play that's doing really well, and so it's full of style and artifice and flair, and it's a lot of fun.
So there's an interesting clash, if you like. The story takes place in early 1950s here in London, but the comic tone, if you like, feels a little more modern. So it's interesting to have that modern comedic tone set against the fashion and the period elements of 1950s London, which is, you know, very cinematic.
Yeah, so the film's set in 1953 in London's West End. But it was really important to me to show off London in a way that maybe we hadn't seen before. So often the late 40s, early 50s is depicted as this sort of sepia-tinted post-war kind of London. And, you know, for me, being in the West End, it was an opportunity to create a world that was sort of vibrant and full of life and colour, and the perfect world for our two detectives to enter. They're quite subdued, monochrome characters in the sort of police uniforms and detective uniform. To see them entering this vibrant, exciting world of the West End always felt like a great tension in the story. Yeah.
Well, I have to. Obviously, the whole premise is based on the original success of The Mousetrap that now has run and run and run for decades. We set it sort of on the 10-year anniversary, where the producer is sort of pulling his hair out because it still hasn't closed, and it's the only way he can make the movie once it's closed. And then we took that and Mark, our screenwriter's research, took us into the 50s, where all these, from Stoppard to Rillington Place murders to Dickie Attenborough to them playing the Rillington murder serial killer, it became a whole sort of parallel universe plus our own spin on it all.
Well, I'd just done an Inside Number 9 literally the month before I started filming this, so it was amazing when he was cast, and yeah, we had an amazing time working together, and actually it was quite a bonding experience. I think for a lot of people it's their first job back, like after COVID and all the drama, so everyone was very grateful to be there, and it's such an ensemble piece, you know, we really got to collaborate together, and there were a lot of laughs on set for sure.
I've got Series 3 of War of the Worlds for Disney Plus coming out, and I'm very excited about that.
I'm in a show called Gangs of London, and that comes out at the end of the year, and then I've got a couple of other things coming out next year, but yeah, Gangs of London is the next one. More gore. If you thought the first season was gory, the second season is, yeah, it's really good.
A few writing projects, but yeah, there's sort of fairly early days, so this is my sort of big thing at the moment. Trying to make the most of it completely. I'm going to go to the cinema tomorrow by myself and just sit and just wait until someone recognises me and be like, yeah, that's me.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content next time.
So what did he do that made you suspicious? It wasn't so much what he did, it was more the way he did it. How did he do it? Sort of suspiciously. Right.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.